Hi, everybody. This is Saad. I hope that your day is off to a good start. As many of you know, uh, I've become the central repository of thousands of people who write to me from all walks of life because they've been wronged in some way or another. Wronged because they did not adhere to the prevailing orthodoxy, because they said something that their supervisor in a graduate seminar didn't like, because they didn't want to include their pronouns in some hospital setting, because of an endless number of idea pathogens that have completely choked people's abilities to live dignified and free lives. And so, in that spirit, yesterday I received a message via my website from a emergency room physician who asked for my help given a situation that he's going through. I wrote back to him right away, and it's not as though I'm not a very busy guy. I do 10,000 things a day. But yet, for better or worse, I can't walk away from a plea from someone who needs uh, well justified help. Just like the physician in question, when he is saving lives in an emergency room, uh, I feel it's my responsibility, given my platform, given who I am, that if I can help in any way, I will certainly try to always do so. And so I wrote back to him and asked him if I could read his email on my show, and he replied yes, and that I could identify all of the relevant people and companies and himself, and so I will read it without any editing. And he then also shared with me a copy of the lawsuit that was filed to fight his firing. The lawsuit itself is quite interesting and would be worthy of exploration. But in any case, let me begin by reading the email. The subject heading is "I'm not a racist or a bigot." Hello, Dr. Saad. I need your help, plain and simple. I'm an emergency room physician practicing medicine for 31 years. When last year I spoke an objective truth, I said, quote, Chinese coronavirus, close quote, and subsequently was branded a racist and a bigot. My company stated I would treat a patient differently based on the color of their skin, and had my career subsequently destroyed. I need help getting my story out. What has happened to me is wrong. Now listen to this. I'm an Air Force veteran and an emergency medicine physician for over 30 years. He served, I was reading the lawsuit. He served in the Air Force as a physician for 7 years, and then, for many additional years in private practice. I work for a company called Vituity, so VITUITY/CEP, out of Emeryville, California, where I'm contracted to work at the Sutter Davis emergency room in Davis, California. I worked there for the past 17 years till I was placed on a punitive and involuntary leave of absence in May of 2021 over a social media posting. I have not been able to work since. This happened because in February of 2021, I posted on my personal Facebook account the sarcastic while objective truth, quote, "We're number one, double exclamation point. California, first state with over 50,000 Chinese coronavirus deaths," close quote. I wrote this because despite all of the mitigation efforts, school closures, masking, business closures, etc., here in California, we were still the first state with 50,000 deaths from the coronavirus from Wuhan, China. We know it came out of the lab. An anonymous person saw this and complained to Sutter Health Human Resources. Sutter Health perceived this to be racist and turned this over to my company, and I believe made it clear to them that I was never to work again at a Sutter hospital. Vituity/CEP, instead of supporting me, went nuclear. They removed me from the ER schedule, preventing me from working. They put me on an unpaid leave of absence. They stripped me of my senior partnership. This is how they control you. They fully expected me to roll over and comply or just quit. Also, there have been anonymous complaints in the past for posts I made against BLM during the summer of 2020 when BLM was burning down America. My social media account in no way shows that I'm a physician or employee of Sutter or Vituiti /CEP, yet they believe they can reach out and control my speech. By the way, there are a few typos, and so when I'm reading it, I'm fixing. I'm not reading them with the typos. I'm fixing it. So by the way, BLM. Is this the same BLM that has siphoned millions of dollars to purchase private mansions in California? So it is not okay for a free citizen in a free society to hold the political position that says that they disagree with this political organization. Okay. Vituiti is openly political with an entire diversity, equity, inclusion organization within the company. Other doctors wear BLM pins and go to BLM rallies in company garb. Yet as soon as I say something that goes against their ideology, they destroy my livelihood. Vituiti has bought into the woke, CRT, and DEI ideology, and I'm paying the price. I have been a good physician for over 30 years, and yet Vituiti stated that they believe that I will treat a patient differently based on the color of their skin. I'm not a racist or a bigot, and I will never stop fighting this. I have people come up to me all the time and thank me for what I post on social media because most people are afraid. They have to censor themselves. Otherwise, the woke mob will come for them too, and they could lose their job. Don't I know it, doctor? I have filed a lawsuit against Vituiti in Alameda County in California and eventually plan on filing against Sutter Health or Sutter Health, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, since I believe they are also culpable. I can provide a copy of the lawsuit if requested, and he has since provided me a copy of the lawsuit, and I have it right here in front of me. I know this is personal to me, but this fight is important to all of us if we want to have free speech in this country. Open debate is essential for our country and democracy to survive. Yeah, it's called The Parasitic Mind. Make sure to buy a copy. I don't mean for the doctor, I mean for the people listening. I'm hoping that you will like to hear more of my story or put me in contact with someone to help get this out into the media. And then he shared his contact information, which I won't read here. Thank you. And his name is Mark Palmieri, MD. I guess I don't have to read any of the lawsuit, although of course he makes the point, Dr. Palmieri makes the point that it is quite a standard convention to name viruses from the location where they originate from, and he gives a whole bunch of examples. Of course, I've made that point myself independently on many occasions in the past when I critiqued the idea that calling something a virus that's coming from China, giving the location of where it originated, that's racist is complete insanity, right? Ross River fever out of Australia. Well, you shouldn't call it that because, that marginalizes Australians. Maybe it marginalizes the indigenous people of Australia. It's insane. So, of course, here's a physician who has 30 plus years of experience caring for people. He's an emergency room physician. People come in with gunshot wounds. They go to him. He stitches them up. But him posting a completely innocuous Facebook message, wherein in that message that has zero racist, undertones, by him linking that virus to China, he's no longer worthy as a person to save lives. It is more important that we surgically, forgive the pun, remove him from our collective conscience, and hence achieve moral woke purity than to have this guy around, doing the banal thing of saving lives. It's unbelievable. But it's not unbelievable to me because every single day I open up my, social media accounts, my personal email, my university email, my website email. and I am inundated. If Dr. Palmieri receives 30 patients in his ER room, I receive 3,000 patients from around the world, all of whom are seeking my help because of grave injustices that have been done to them. This is not how we wish to organize society. This will not end well. Okay? Again, not to be gleeful, not to sit and say, I told you so. But I've been warning people for years about this. That's why I wrote The Parasitic Mind. That's why it is an international bestseller. But of course, the Quebec and Canadian government steal most of that money, right? Because this is a civilizational battle of great importance. What made the West this wondrous anomaly is that for a short period of history, we extricated ourselves from the default value by which all societies throughout human histories have been organized, which is there's an emperor, there is an anointed class, there is a dictator, there's a feudal lord, there's a king who tells you what to think, what to wear, how to walk, what you can say, what you can think, what you could like. He may even have designs on your pretty daughter. It's called droit du seigneur, the right of the Lord. And therefore, sorry, that girl is going with me for her first night with a man. So there have been all sorts of ways by which society has been organized. And in every single one of those ways, we didn't have the freedoms that are enshrined in Western liberal, in the classical liberal sense, societies. And for those societies to have existed, I mean the Western societies, required that a set of foundational values become inviolable, right? They are non-negotiable. That's why I have a chapter on non-negotiable tenets of a free and enlightened society. One of which, the most important of which, is freedom of speech. I know that many of you now are familiar with these concepts, but apparently not enough of you are. That's the right from which all other freedoms flow. So if someone with the value, the societal value of Dr. Palmieri, right? He's an emergency room physician. You're walking in there having just suffered a heart attack. He's there to treat you. Yes? He has an important job, a noble job. If that person becomes dispendable, we can remove him. He's a cancer because he recognized the geographic origin correctly of a virus that was probably leaked because of poor security mechanisms at that lab, and therefore the rest of the world for the past 2.5 years has had to suffer unimaginable consequences. If the only consequence that the Chinese government faces is that Dr. Palmieri writes an innocuous Facebook post noting that it comes from China, and that is cause for you to be fired, then there's no more sense making in the world, right? That's why what's up is down, freedom is slavery, right is left, women have 9-inch penises, men too can menstruate, men too can bear children. It is an attack on the most fundamental feature of what it is to be human, which is to use the prefrontal cortex to reason, to engage in critical thinking, to apply the scientific method, to use debate and discourse to win arguments against your opponents. That's what made the West great. That's what was the Renaissance, the scientific revolution, the Enlightenment. So there was this little bleep of historical magic where we had these incredible confluence of values that led to liberation for the entire human race, possibly, although many people still live under dictatorships. And yet we're throwing it all away and reverting to the historical reflex of our ancestors. This sad truth right here should be canonized somewhere. Not because I'm arrogant, because I'm telling you something that is more important than anything that you will do maybe for the rest of your lives. There is nothing more important than saving liberty. That's what liberates our individual dignity. So that this guy has to write to me so that I can stop today everything that I'm doing and post this in the 21st century shows you how far along we are. And people don't participate. People remain cowardly. People are too afraid. People say, don't worry, God Saad is a super stud. He'll take care of this for us. Thank you, Dr. Saad, but please don't mention my name if you read my email on your show, because I wouldn't want people to know that, I'm a big fan. I know, right? Because it is so corrosive to be a big fan of a professor who supports women's rights, gay rights, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, no forbidden knowledge in science, individual dignity over collective tribalism. It is so corrosive to support a guy who defends such nefarious values. So get off the couch, get involved, get invigorated by what I'm telling you. Your voice matters. You have something to say. You may not have a huge platform. You may not be a fancy professor, but you can effect change within your sphere of influence. You could share this clip with others. You could buy copies of my book. You could support by donating to my channel. I'm not saying doing this because I need to peddle for $5 donations, but I take great risks in what I do. I don't know Dr. Palmieri. I don't have to support him. I could just ignore his email. I don't, because I'm Gad Saad. Now, if everybody were to have some kind of mimicry of their personhood such that they find their spine, such that they grow a pair, then we will get rid of these problems. If not, it's only going to get worse and worse. Don't think that the nasty alligator won't come for you, right? I've had people who've written to me and said, my God, I should have listened to you earlier. Now they're after me, Dr. Saad. So please, I implore you, if you care about our free societies, if you care about what your children are going to be taught at school, what kind of world they grow up in, think about Dr. Palmieri, an Air Force physician, a emergency room physician for 31 years, who's fired for identifying the geographical location correctly of the coronavirus. Have a good day, everybody. And if you don't heed my call, there's only your conscience that can... You live with your conscience. Take care, everybody.